Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel. I want to shift gears right now and talk about when you went to Vancouver. How old were you?
I was like 22.
And you followed the female, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And when you got to Vancouver, one of the shocks, I guess, that hit you was this assimilation is going to take an effort. Was that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What are some things that happened to you right off the bat that made you realize I'm going to have to figure out how to fit in and, where, you can't be effective if your culture is getting in the way. And talk about that.
Yeah. So a few things I remember, I didn't realize there's a cult, okay, I don't want to offend anybody. So I want to use my words very carefully here. I didn't know that there's a culture of white culture, and there's a immigrant culture, and then there is another culture of natives, right?
Yeah.
And then when people started talking about these different cultures, I was like, man, like I didn't even realize that even before the so-called native Canadians, there was another a class of people here already. So that creates even more like complication. And then in many conversations, again, I know I don't want to offend anybody. Some people refer to them as Indians. I was like, I'm an Indian. Like what does that what does that really mean? Like, I don't understand. And so so that was very confusing to me. And then the next thing what happened was like, first of all, most people didn't pay attention to what I was saying, or I was like a new immigrant. But then slowly they started saying, oh, this guy knows few things. So let's invite him into some meetings. He can provide some value. And so I remember going into the boardrooms, and they were like, planning about all this. And as I said earlier, they'll make a joke about something, and I will be confused, like what did they just say? And they'll be laughing at it. And then I was like, okay, they must have some internal joke. Then I realized that, hey, that was an important thing for me to note, because that was something about work and project, and that was not just a joke. They were laughing about it, but it was an important piece of information that I completely missed.
Yeah.
And I really need to understand this, otherwise I'll be flying blind. So then those are the things that triggered my curiosity, and just learning about, okay, who are all these people, what do they believe, and how do they talk to each other. And the challenge was that I got a pushback from my own community. Like, what the hell? Why are you trying to learn their ways? Like, just why don't you just stay in your own lane? And I was like, no. I mean, how do I make a mark? And they were like, hey, you already you got a house, you got a car. What else do you want?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, there is more out there, man. Like, there's more out there. So it has been a huge challenge to just be on your own and try to learn, because you get pushback from everywhere that you don't come into my lane, or my own community says, hey, don't go into their lane. So it's just been a very interesting experience.
If it's any consolation to you, we go through the same thing. If you're like, don't, you're not like you were, you're trying to fit in over there. Why did you move over to that side of town?
Yeah.
Was this not good enough for you, or what? And so people are always trying to hold you down, because it makes them uncomfortable when you move up. They can't understand it, but on the other hand, they're not supposed to understand it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I found eventually. I was like, I was just stressing over nothing, because they just don't see what I am seeing, and that's what it breaks down to. So yeah, I mean, you learn after you get there, but before you are there, you're always anxious. What am I doing wrong?
Well, part of the thing that I would tell you that that's part of your job as to get them to where through you they can learn and they can see things that they never would have seen or thought as a possibility. We have some people in our company that from like Colombia that came to the United States. No one in their family had ever been to college. High school was the limit. And because, one of them came over here and was successful, all of a sudden now, went to college here and became successful in business and all of a sudden now, all of the grandchildren and cousins in that community now, plus they would never leave Colombia, but now they're touring Europe and they're going around the world and they're all thinking of colleges and a lot of them coming to the United States. It's just because of one person made that breakthrough and they didn't see it. And so in terms of making a positive impact in the global thing, that's great. But the fact that you know that you can, through your own example, make an impact and open eyes into your own community, that can be life-changing. And that can be generational changes right there. Take the lid off and get some light in there where they can see possibility. Basically, what do they see? They see possibilities that are there that right now they're not seeing them. And so let me ask you again now, did you have a job when you moved here? Was there a job already waiting for you?
So what I did was, because I was, I got access to the internet 6 months before I came to Canada. So those 6 months I consumed in applying for jobs from there. So I had a couple of meetings already set up before I landed. That didn't really result into a job opportunity, but it told me that I'm on the right path. That, hey, even before I landed, somebody is willing to, give me their time and listen to me. So I was on the right path. So I just kept doing whatever I was doing, applying for more jobs. I got first job within 2 months.
Yeah. And so you made the scouting trips. It kind of gave you information on what else you needed to know to prepare to be successful here. Let me ask you this. When you said you went 3 years ago and you said, I started applying AI to my situation to let the world know I existed. What things did you do with AI?
See, the thing is that marketing and getting your message out there, the first block we have is what do we communicate? What do we say to people that will resonate? And most of us are not gifted writers or gifted, eloquent speech writers or whatever it is, right?
Right.
AI can, first of all, solve that problem, right? So first, even before that, you said targeted marketing. First of all, it can help you figure out who's your target audience. What do they want to talk about? What do they want to hear? And us humans, we are not capable of doing all this. Like we cannot get it. We have to be in that circle to be able to hear them to say, oh, okay, now I know what you're talking about. But AI and data can help us figure out, okay, these are the things they want to talk about. Now you can craft the message using AI. And now the thing is, you as a human being, even if you are the most efficient salesperson, you can make maybe 60 calls a day, 70 calls a day, 80 calls a day. With AI, I can talk to 1,000 people in an hour, no problem. 1 million people in an hour, no problem, right? So the amplification and the precision that you can get with this kind of technology, that is why I said, if people don't embrace it now, in 5 years, they're gonna be like, they're gonna be behind.
For those of you who are sick and tired of fooling around and are dead serious about wanting to move up fast, I've got something especially for you. I've combined the best insights from over 40 years in business and making $70 million in income and compressed them into a free webinar. That's right, it's a free resource. If you want to find out exactly what the concepts are that I use in coaching $1 million earners, register now at WeidelOnWinning.com. You'll discover the 5-part framework used by so many to reach their financial, personal, and professional goals. You can find that link in this episode's show notes.
Now, when you say AI can help you craft your message, what do you do? Get an app that's an AI app? And because you see those on Instagram all the time now, advertising, help you write blogs. Now, I've got a bad attitude about that because there's so much phony information out there by people who have no clue. But what they do is they type in on Google a search for, how to sharpen knives or something, this whole thing. And it's basically generic information.
Exactly.
And so how do you get specialized, type? That's what I always think when I see AI is going to help you write your blog. AI is going to help you solve your content creation situations. Like, well, maybe if I wanted pablum, if I wanted cereal, I didn't really want anything. But then I'm going to be represented to the world as nonsense.
See,
so,
that's where the top 1 or 2% people are separated from the rest, right? So when I think about all of this, it's more about the human connection. It's a blog. If you break it down, what is it? It's you trying to portray your personality, and you want to portray your personality in a way that resonates with the other person, right? So what I focus on is how do I tell my story? Just like all these elements of me back working in a factory, looking at these magazines. These are the components of the storytelling that resonate with people because they see their own struggles, they see their own past in all these little things, right? So AI it will do whatever you want it to do. If you say, hey, write me a blog, it will write you a generic blog. But what we do is we say, okay, let me know you as a person. Who are you as a person first? What are your special qualities? What is your story? And now, how do I want to project it to the right people that will resonate with your story?
Okay.
And that's where the AI can do a beautiful job. But you really need to have that mindset first. You need to have that, just like what we were talking about, everybody is involved in like the grunt work, the low level. But once you cross the threshold, you say, hey, there is a different world out there. You think differently, and once you get into that mindset, now AI can amplify that and accelerate that in a way that no other technology can.
I know that is where things are going, and it's just a matter of figuring out how to get there as quickly as possible. Let me ask you about this. How far along were you with your relationship with the female? Were you married before you came, or were you still pursuing her, dating her?
No. We got married, then we came here. But unfortunately, that relationship ended almost 3 years ago. So.
Oh, I was going to ask you if I was going to ask you if that was worth the move. But anyway, she was very helpful in getting you here, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there is no regret. Like every relationship is a lesson that you learn in life. So every relationship has its own expiry date, I guess. And yeah, it expired. But I got a lot of learning about myself. A lot of I got my beautiful kids, that has changed my life. So I cannot say anything wrong about it. But yeah, that's the story.
Now, when you look forward to from where you are now, what excites you? What possibilities excite you the most for projects that you can do? Adventures, that you can.
What is the most exciting thing is I see an era of extreme abundance, where everybody can afford everything that their heart desires. And that I believe will happen within the next 5 decades. And the reason is because if you see as an experienced person, 80 to 90% of the economy is basically doing things to produce the 10% of the value that we consume, meaning all the banking infrastructure, all the insurance infrastructure, all the the stuff that needs to happen because we are inefficient, we don't trust each other. The institutions are there to just control our own emotions to produce the value, like the things that we want to consume, um, and that's how the economy is set up. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So when AI takes over, when blockchain comes in full force, all that, 90% the cost of the goods will vanish, right?
And why is that?
Because the robot is not going to ask for the same salaries, it's not going to ask for the same level of
Right.
healthcare. So the cost of the goods that will be produced will go drastically down. And then what will happen is everybody will be able to afford what they can. But on the other hand, we will have a lot more time to spend on the things that we really care for. Meaning, we will have more human connection. We will have more creative jobs. We will have more, jobs to listen to each other. Like today you can actually earn at least $100 an hour just listening to somebody because
Yeah.
people are so lonely. You go on these job boards, Fiverr and all that. There are people who will take $100 just to listen to you. So
Really.
yeah,
Really.
yeah.
Uh, Here you go. That's a little bit overwhelming. $100 an hour. Wow.
So that's what I see in the future. That's what excites me. So that's why I say AI is such a technology that has the power to change the way we actually think about how we live. And so imagine a world where you don't raise kids to say, hey, you need to go to college so yeah you can get a job. They'll say, hey, find the best passion that you enjoy and focus on that, and the rest will fall into place automatically.
Let me ask you this. You write uh, 2 best-selling technical books, and you get the attention of uh, Barack Obama and Bill Gates. Was that for the patents? That was for your courses? Was that for the books? What was that?
So that was a technology that we built for helping students not drop out of colleges, because 30% of the students, they drop out of the university or college degree within the first 2 years. And the reason is because it's linked to what I just said. The reason is because they find out that whatever they enrolled in is of no interest to them, or it
Right.
is too difficult for them.
Right.
So, but they've got into that degree program because their friends forced them, their family forced them, their career counselor forced them. And so with technology, we can say, okay, who are you as a person? Let me recommend the right course to you, just like Netflix recommends shows to us. And I
Yeah.
can recommend the right course to you, and you will do very well, and you will be able to complete your degree program. And so that program was so successful that President Obama mentioned it in his speech multiple times. And actually, Bill Gates invested in that project.
And so what are these courses? You've got 75 courses. 75 courses, 180,000 students. What are all these courses about?
So it was all about teaching technology to people. These are very, very hardcore technical skills. So again, this was the first phase of my 3-year journey. I created those 75 courses in about 12 months. And so it was all about teaching technology and teaching engineers how to apply the technology in the real world. Because I noticed that even when they go to university, they get such a outdated information, and they get like
Right. Right.
theoretical information, that when they come out in the real world, they have a shock. They have a culture shock. It's like, okay, how do I apply what I learned? So my thing is, because I learned on the job. I have no fancy degrees or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, I want to teach you how you can learn to produce value in the world, not just like learn some books and say, okay, I'm I'm a technical person now.
Where did you get the idea for these courses, and what was your first course?
So, again, the story behind that is 2018. I lost my mom. She was in India, and my whole family is in India. So I wanted to change my life and business such that I can travel back home. And so I was looking for an opportunity to build a business around it. And that's when, education came along. And my first course was about Jenkins. It's a technical platform to help people automate things in their projects.
Uh-huh.
And so I found a platform where people are looking for these courses. Then I used my skills to figure out, okay, what is missing here? What is not already there, which is popular among people to learn? And then I created a course on that, and then I started building more and more and more and more.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Thanks for listening to the Million Dollar Mastermind. If you felt there were any valuable takeaways from this episode, please take a minute and leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback is important and really helps us get the word out to a wider audience. Remember, we have a valuable webinar that is absolutely free. Register for it right now at weidelonwinning.com. Thanks for listening.